Welcome to the Sports Betting Preview Show, a pregame.com podcast. This is your host, Marco D'Angelo, along with Vegas Runner. We're coming to you this week from the new studios. We've moved offices here at Pregame, got a new studio for us. Let's just keep picking winners. And
Absolutely.
It's conference tournament time. This is segment one. We're going to preview two games, but we're also going to have conference tournament. We're going to preview different angles and stuff. So let's get to today's segment. North Carolina at Georgia Tech. VR, give us the lines as you do.
Okay, this one's already out. It opened up at 3.5, 143.5, and that's where it stayed. Although I did hear that the total actually opened up higher at a book or two. But, I mean, it got blasted under right away, so it looks like the market's staying at 3.5, 143.5.
Well, first thing that you look at when you look at this game right away, and I'm trying to, look at it and think about it. Think about this for a second. North Carolina is the defending national champion. North Carolina... When you say basketball, North Carolina, Duke, UCLA, this team basically has to run the table in this tournament.
It's the only way they're getting in.
And to get into it.
Yeah, or else
slight possibility if they get to the championship game, maybe.
But because I think college basketball, there is a selection committee, I agree with you. If they get to the championship games, someone could get slighted. But as it looks,
just
they're
on their past resume. Right.
Yeah.
Right now, they're in. That's, for the defending national champion.
Yeah, well, whatever happened, I mean, we always hear about this kind of team, this kind of institution doesn't, rebuild, they reload.
Right.
I would think North Carolina falls under that category, correct? They don't have to rebuild. They're just able to reload. They get McDonald's, nothing but McDonald's All-Americans. And this team that they have right now is loaded with McDonald's All-Americans. I just think they're too young, Marco. I think, and hopefully these guys don't jump and go pro. And because this could be a team in the making. I mean, they do get the cream of the crop, so they do have some talent on the court.
No question. Looking at the game from a handicapping standpoint, and this is going to actually be your free pick,
sir.
So we'll give you, your say here. But, looking at North Carolina, anytime... I found in handicapping, and I don't know how you view it, but anytime you're looking at a team that has been good for so long, it's when you read the lines and you look at the logs and you're trying to handicap the game, Vegas is always slow to make adjustments
Correct.
On the good teams because they know the public
is still going to bet them. North Carolina got a lot of play this year. Every book I spoke to got North Carolina action, especially when they were when they were favorites or dogs. But people were betting North Carolina, and it didn't do them any good. They went 10-19 against the number. But you're absolutely right, and I agree with you 100%. When you have a name like they do, people are just used to betting them. They're used to cashing with them. They're used to seeing a good team out there, so they're going to get plenty of betting action, and they did this year.
And Vegas know that, and Vegas knows that they don't have to be as sharp as they need to be on that line because the public money is going to outweigh the sharp money.
Yeah,
all
especially
the time.
In marquee games for sure.
And on the flip side here, looking at the Georgia Tech team, here's a team with 19 wins. They are definitely what you call a bubble team.
Yeah, only 7-9 in conference. I think the ACC is the toughest conference. People disagree with me a lot.
I'm going to disagree.
But I think they're very top heavy, and this 7-9 record in conference, I would agree with you 100%. They're a bubble team. They got to win tomorrow, that's for sure.
I think they need at least 2 wins to secure their way in. And it's going to depend on what happens with the automatic bids. If there's a couple upsets one of the teams that should have gotten a bid gets upset.
As long as teams like Siena, Butler keep grabbing those, winning their championships, then teams like this have a chance.
It leaves the at-large bids out there. The other story, and we're going to talk about this stuff in our how to handicap the conference tournaments, but you've got another angle here. the Georgia Tech coach is on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Word out of there. I mean, I think it was 4 years ago that he took them to the Final Four, but then this team's not done anything since.
No.
And like you said, again, a losing record in conference play. If they don't make the big dance, he could be on his way out the door.
Yeah. I mean, because exactly, they expect a lot down there in Georgia Tech, especially when you look, it's excusable to a point their conference record, because as a whole, they had one of the toughest schedules. They're 12th in the nation is what I saw. But their non-conference schedule was 261. Yeah. And I think that's where those 17, 18 wins that you spoke about, 19 wins, come from.
Right.
A very soft schedule.
Well, the NCAA tournament, they always talk about, they look at what you do down the stretch of the season. And there's no question Georgia Tech is limping to the finish line, 2-5 down the stretch. Horrible loss at the end of the season to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
They needed to get a big home win at the end of the year, and they laid an egg in that game.
As a 5-point favorite.
Right.
There were games they should have won.
Bad situation. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to you. I'll chime in at the end because this is your free pick.
I wanted to find a reason, to be honest with you, to back North Carolina, just for pride alone and how important this game is to them. And on the flip side, I also stopped and thought they don't really have that much pressure anymore, because everybody knows the only way they're going to get in is if they run the table. So, I mean, on that, everybody's already preparing for the NIT. So I think as far as pressure goes, they don't have that much on them. But I think this line's still a little short. And I think it goes back to how this podcast began with, you're paying a little bit for that North Carolina name. And even though I think the books may end up needing North Carolina, I really don't think there's any line value there at 3.5. I thought, to tell you the truth, Georgia Tech should have came out higher. So what I like with this game, let's get to the bottom line, is the total. I love the over in this game. Here's the reason. Not just because both games went under, even though that does factor in, because now we're looking at a huge adjustment. I mean, the total now is 143.5, and the first game they played was 155. So this is a 12-point difference based on those results. But when you look at the breakdown, these teams use their bench a lot. Top 50 in the nation in bench minutes. So they're going to keep recycling bodies in. That means they're going to be able to run the court up and down. The other reason I like the over is because both these teams have a lot of height, but that crosses each other out. There's no advantage there. It's not like you're playing a shorter team, so now you could, run a half-court offense, work it into the center, and run your offense through there. You're looking at two extremely big teams. So I think that crosses that out. And because of that, we're going to see a lot more up and down the court running from both of these clubs. And, I mean, when you look at them statistically, neither of them play very good defense. I mean, they might not be the most high-powered offenses either, but as far as the defensive side of the ball goes, they're terrible. North Carolina especially. And I like where they rank in offensive rebounds. They're both in the top 10 in the country, and that tells me transition baskets. They're able to get the rebound offensively, score quickly, and that's going to get you transition baskets the other way. So I like this over, Marco. I think there's a lot of value based on the 143 number.
Well, I can't disagree with you. I don't have any opinion on the total. I didn't have an official play on the game. Looking at the game, we got to wrap up. We're in the final minute here. I was leaning towards trying to find a way to take North Carolina also, simply because they did lose both meetings during the regular season. And, generally, I'm a firm believer that the team that lost the games, they're the ones that are going to the chalkboard and making adjustments for the next
other
game.
Team figures, we just got to do what we did before.
And win. So doing that. Also the fact North Carolina's coming off a huge embarrassing game. They were down 31-11 to Duke and got blown out by 30 points. They're going to want to make a statement. 16-15. If they lose this game, if I'm North Carolina, I got to even question if I accept an NIT bid. At 500. But name, they're going to want them. We'll see what happens. Official free pick.
Go over, baby. My true line on this was 147.5. So I see 4 points of value.
Got to cut you off. We're up against
over.
Take over from Vegas Runner. That's his official free pick. We'll be back with segment 2. We're going to take a look at UCLA, Arizona.